What up, Elderidge? It's your boy, Montoya, aka Black Socrates. It's too much to type in a Facebook post, so I thought I'd try to shoot a quick video on my way to work. But anyway, how has the community benefited from the Bob Black movement? I think you said, as a matter of fact, let me make this clear. You said directly. So the fact that you use directly, to me, to a certain extent, lets me know you're looking for something incredibly quantifiable. And typically you want to see, excuse me, quantifiable things to know that you're making progress. And I think there are some to look at. And hopefully some others will answer those quantifiable things. I want to give a perspective from a long-term perspective that I think sometimes quite often gets missed in how some of these things all come together. And so this is how I see the Bob Black movement benefiting our community. Again, I don't want to use the word directly just because I have a long-term perspective on this. So I think the groundwork is being laid by yourself and Antoine and Damon Thomas and anybody else that's pushing this movement. As you know, as I always say, until we make a conscious effort to spend with our own, we're gonna forever be begging. So I think that's a great quote. I think you believe it. I think you understand it. I also understand that what I'm doing with the mental dialogue work is the process of even when I say raising awareness, is basically bringing enough people along to even pay attention to that quote, to actually act on it. Now, I'm not talking about the mental dialogue and do that alone, but it's just my understanding of something Dr. Amos Wilson said a long time ago. We were designed to be confused. So unfortunately, for all the people that don't buy in, I understand, as Dr. Amos Wilson, at least that's how I took that quote, since we were designed to be confused, then a lot of the actions that we see from our people that we're not happy with, especially when it comes to buying black, you got to understand that they're in that Jordan line because there was millions of dollars of marketing put into having them stand in that line for Jordans. And so the reverse of that is the messaging of buying black. And it's been around, but I know in my lifetime and saying it being around, it was just something kind of I did as a novelty. And I always cared about it with the black bookstores, you know, kind of wherever I could or whatever. But it wasn't a thing where I just was consciously seeking. And so this movement amongst those that are quote unquote awoke, just because that word gets used so much, you know, yourself, whatever, we're seeking, you know, as y'all say, amazing black businesses. I love quoting that. I'll shout y'all boys out. I did an interview last week. Shout out you boys out, Spendefy out. But anyway, I say that to say that, you know, Miss Detra White, if I'm saying her name correctly, I mean, she's the queen of it for me. But with that said, these opportunities to kind of touch those of us who are focused on it, what we're gonna see, this is how this is gonna play out, in my opinion, in the long term. We have to keep at it. But it'll only reach so many of us in our lifetime as far as consciously doing it. But enough of us can do it to where our seeds makes that bigger. And as that becomes, and that's bigger, then what happens is, if the next generation, if there's a few more doing it, I'm saying that the next generation is not gonna be it, but it'll be more doing it. What happens is when the next generation, when there's more people that are consciously spending, well, their kids will kind of see, hey, here's a demand that can be met. See, right now, the reality is there's only so many businesses that we can actually spend our money in, that we're serving just our people and make a decent amount of money or be very successful. You know, because, you know, as we say, buy black, sell to everyone. That's definitely something that should be done, it's necessary to do. But I will say, as more people move into buying black, then people will say, hey, there's a need that can be met. And so your kids can see, not our kids, not even, it's the next generation's kids can see, if I serve this community will serve me, because there's a demand for it. So right now, we're just pushing the rhetoric, the thought process, so that we can impact a number of people, so that a demand will be created, I say 2 generations later. So we have to stick it out. What we're doing will not necessarily be directly seen in our lifetime, but I couldn't imagine that all of us that push it, that talk about it, I hope that we wouldn't give up on it to the point where our kids don't automatically do it. We don't teach them to own, to have their own. And so then what happens is that has to be done with the media push on top of what y'all are doing, what our kids will do. Then you have to have the Damon Thomases of the world. You have to have that media push, that Dr. Cloud Anderson fourth flow, because there can be no effect if you can't talk to your people. So with the internet being the great equalizer, we have all these amazing opportunities to highlight a Detra White. I hope I'm saying that queen's name correctly. To highlight what you guys are doing, what we try to do on the show. Highlight. So what happens is, once there's mass media, not so much mass media, but as more people start getting away from mass media and seeking alternatives to where they get their information from, the internet that we have an opportunity to compete with, then if they start seeking alternative messaging, then we need to be hot and heavy. We need to spend finances with marketing with those that are focused on our community. Obviously that's a plug for me to say, hey, come market the Mental Dialogue, an intelligent audience that's seeking this information. But I mean, not just that, it's just really, we gotta get, I don't want to just be on Blog Talk. We gotta get this thing big. I know Damon Thomas has some amazing mindset about, where we gotta go in the media. So that brother will be really most important. It's almost like any product you market. You can have the greatest product in the world, if nobody knows about it, it's not selling. Marketing goes hand to hand, and a lot of movements have failed to really realize the importance of marketing. And when I say fail to realize it, it's not that you're not aware of it, but I'm talking about even when they're collecting funds, whatever funds they're collecting, really just like a regular business, really needs to have a set-aside budget for marketing, which a lot of our businesses fail at, while our movements do the same thing. We're not really conscious. We try to kind of a DIY approach with marketing without really consciously finding those who are great at it and really paying them what they're worth to make sure the movement has the messaging not only out there but correct. So so the Buy Black movement, really, we're just starting the messaging, and it's out there, and social media lets us get it out there. But again, next generation, our seeds more will do it. Their seeds, if it continues and we build it correctly, will say, hey, there's a demand I can meet. And then their minds will innovatively come up with other businesses that not, meeting demands not only within the Black community, but for other communities as well. But it's very important for them to see, hey, our people want this right now, to a certain extent, outside of the barbershops and the soul food restaurants. People are coming up with great things now, but I'm just saying, in my lifetime, 10, 15 years ago, people wasn't really thinking of, well, what can I put together that a lot of African Americans would want? Obviously, the corporations take advantage of our buying habits. So, we need to know those things, but right now we're not in those areas. We watch the most social media, but we're just starting finding these kids that are creating apps and things of that nature. So we got to push generations into those things so that we can provide those demands that are already out there, that all these other people know about us, about our spending habits. We can take advantage of that stuff as well, but we got to get there. It's a process. That's my 3 cents on answering your question. Hopefully it gives you some answer. Again, it's not quantitative. I hope that other people will point out some quantitative things for you. All right, that's it for me. Black Socrates, Mental Dialogue. All I ask is that you think.